Welcome back, everyone. So today I'm going to show you how to build a tower like this one or this tower. I have two versions of it so far, or this one. Pretty much the same. There's not much difference between the two. So in order to build them, you want to enable the add-on building tool. So how you enable add-on is go to Edit, Preference, type in Building Tool, and make sure it's enabled. In my previous episode, I kind of show you how to download this building tool. I will keep the link below as well. So you can download it, enable it. I'm pretty sure most people know how to do it. If not, you can visit my previous episode. I can explain like using like 5 seconds to explain it. So anyway, let's move on. So what you want to do first is create a plane. This is a 4x4 because this is the default. And then there are ways to manipulate it, but I'm not going to show you in this episode. So go to Edit Mode, with everything selected, create a roof. Hit A, then add roof. Down the bottom here, make sure you cannot have like 0 thickness, so you have to have some kind of thickness. So I just do it a thickness that I can kind of manage and easily write about. And the next one, this is how much it will protrude outward. This one cannot be 0 as well. So in order to make it symmetrical and easier to use, I want to make it a whole number. So let it protrude outward 1. So now it becomes like 3x3. So that's what we're going to do in here. So in order to create the rooftop that I showed you before, first of all, we need a beam down these edges, these 4 edges. And in order to calculate these 4 edges, you have to use the Pythagorean theorem, which I already did. So this is a Pythagorean theorem. So the height of it is 1. It's actually 1.2, so we have to shift it downward by 0.2 because the pyramid has a height of 1. But from the bottom of the roof to the top of the roof is actually 1.2 because it includes the thickness of the rooftop that we entered before, which is 0.2. So we just shift it downward by 0.2 to actually put everything on the z-axis of 0 of the pyramid. So it'll be a lot easier for us to calculate stuff and move stuff around instead of always keeping in mind that there's a 0.2 shift. So just put everything on 0 to make it easier for ourselves. So the length of the side should be around 4.25 or 4.24, sorry. And the angle is actually 76.776. So this is radians. In order to calculate the angle, right, just take the arctangent of the opposite, in this case, the adjacent, in this case would be this one, over the opposite, which is a height, which is 1. And in order to convert this radian into degree, you pretty much just make it divided by 2 pi, multiplied by 360, because radian over 2 pi is going to be equal to degree over 360. So that's how you know like how to calculate it. So this one is actually a different angle. Remember, there are these portions as well. That's what the other one's for, because now it's no longer 3x3, right? It's actually, not 3x3x1. This one is actually just going to be a one-way, right? It will be like a 3x1 height. So you just need to calculate this angle. You don't need to calculate the actual, you already know the length on the bottom, so it doesn't matter. So let's shift it downward by 0.2 minus 0.2. GZ minus 0.2, hit enter. Now it should be shifted downwards. So then rotate around z-axis by 45, RZ 45. So you have to calculate these. You can visually check, make sure everything's correct. Yep. Now this is on the z plane. So next you want to create a cylinder. You can add as much detail or not as much detail. I like to use 64 here. It will have a lot of mesh, so just saying. And the next thing you want to do is move that dot here to the bottom or the top. Depends on whichever one you want to do. Just make it on the side to make the math a lot easier. So next what you do is go to Edit Mode, because I believe the default height is 2, right? So just hit GZ to move it on the z-axis and hit 1. Because half of 2 is 1. So yep, now the dot should be on the bottom. Yep, that is correct. Then now we can worry about the actual dimensions. Let's make it a diameter of 0.5. So the radius be 0.25. Yep, looks good. And as we shown on the Google sheet over here, the location there should be around 4.24, but we want to actually extend this by a little bit, because what you want is for the beams on the four corner to have to protrude outward a little bit. So the actual length is going to be, let's say 4.4 is where we're going to put it, and the angle should be 76.78. So let's put it at 4.4, and the angle I'm not sure if it's positive or negative, so at this position it's kind of hard to know. 8. Oh, sorry, this is the y-axis, so this is the z-axis. You should be rotating against the z-axis here. 8. And you want to put that back to 0. Yep, that's where it is. And the length here should be about 4. Let's say, does it work? Yeah, it works, but let's move it up a little bit, 0.3. That should be good enough, because we can always make a thing on the center to cover it. But you know what? Actually, let's just make it 4.4. As much as needed. Yeah, that should be good enough. The next thing you want to do before you actually make a copy of this itself and replicate on all 4 sides is actually cut it properly. So go into edit mode with the cylinder selected, go Ctrl R to cut it. And now once you make a cut, you can actually have a window pop up that tells you how many times you want to cut it. So how you want to cut that is cut it odd, because if you have an odd cut, you will have a cut in the center. If you don't have an odd cut, you will not have a cut in the center. I like to have a cut in the center most of the times. And let's do it 11 times. So that's good enough. And as you can see, on the side here, we're also going to raise it up. So we want to cut these, at least these two, a little bit more. So let's cut these two, each of them 3 more times to make it easier for you to raise the actual rooftop using the proportional raise in the future. Okay, that looks good. Then next what you do is make a copy of this. And right now it's gonna rotate around this point right here. Just hit RZ of 180 and go up to here and enter a negative 4.4 to move it to the other side. And now you select both of these cylinders, hit Shift D, and now the actual rotation is the center of these 2 dots, which is right at 0, 0, because everything's proportional, right? So just hit RZ of 90 once you make a copy of it. So that's how we get the 2 sides. The next thing we want to do is actually create these pretty much the same cylinder but much smaller, use it as a bump on top of the rooftop and starting from 0. So what you want to do is just make a copy. Well, I don't want to make that many copies. I just want to make 1 copy right now. So make a copy. And right now let's change this to 0.05. 5. So now this diameter should be about 0.1, and that's what I want. And the length doesn't have to be this long, but we can eyeball the length. It doesn't really matter in the future because it should be somewhere around like 3, maybe even more, because we want these parts to protrude outward a little bit as well to make it a little bit more realistic, even though it's not going to be realistic because we're not creating like high poly details and stuff. So now we bring out this Google sheet again. As you can see, I already entered the angle that I want. It's actually a 3x1. So the angle should be 71.6. And before we enter 71.6, let's see. It actually doesn't matter. 71.6 and 0. You can rotate this by 45 if you want to, or you can rotate these parts back to its original, which might be a lot easier because now everything's at an angle, right? Additional 45 degree, but now it doesn't really matter to me. But it will make it so much easier if you actually move it back, because you actually know the actual coordinates once the centerpiece right here, I fell on either the x-axis or the y-axis. So just select everything and highlight the base and hit RZ. So now once you have highlighted the base, right, they will use the base to rotate. So let's rotate by 45. And once you rotate it back, make sure select the base and make sure the location is 0, x of 0 and y of 0, and z should be -2 because we shifted downward to make the math a lot easier. So let's turn this back to 0. Okay, so now we want to either, this is going to either be a 3 or a -3, I'm not sure yet. Okay, it's +3, so you want to make this 0, and you want to make this 0 as well. And now let's shift it backward out a little bit, but not as much as these two sides, right? So let's do a 3.1. Oh, that didn't work. What is that? Oh, oops. That is the actual length. You want to enter the corner of 3.1 on y-axis. Does it look good? This part we have to eyeball it. Let's do 3.05 maybe. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, yeah, let's use 3.05. I like that. So now you pretty much just duplicate it and shift everything along the x-axis by 0.1. Because the dimension of this is 0.1, right? So you want to leave a gap that's at least 0.1. Usually you want to make it really, really good. You want to have a ratio of 2:1, because if you watch a lot like the old Chinese buildings or like Japanese buildings, there's actually like an oval shape in between the two bumps. So you can make it 2, but 2:1 ratio, that would be very, very realistic. But I'm lazy. I just want to, you know, I'll just make a 1 because I'm not gonna carve into this one to make it a curve. That's why I want to put these closer together, so it's less noticeable that these are not supposed to be even. So let's do duplicate it and fast forward. And next, what we want to do is actually select all of these cylinders. Make sure that the center one is highlighted with orange, because then we're going to use this as its pretty much a point of origin to rotate and shift. So now you have all these selected with the center one highlighted. Hit Ctrl J. Actually, they combined it because it just make it a lot easier. Also, we're going to have the same color, so it doesn't really matter. So this is good. Next thing you want to do is go into modifier, so modify property, and use Boolean. We're going to cut out using these two beams to cut it out, and then go into edit to delete whatever that's on the other side. So now we just select these beams and hit apply. And do that again. But for the other beam, hit apply. So now once you can see that it's actually clean cut in here. Then go into edit mode. And make sure you turn on the X-ray so you can see the underside as well. And just select all these and delete the vertices. You delete the vertices, and then you go back to here. Delete this vertice as well. Okay, that's good. And next, what you want to do is pretty much the same as these 4 objects. All you want to do is just make a copy of it and rotate it. Oh, let me get out of this. So hit Shift D, make a copy, RZ of 180, and just change this part to negative. And once you copy that, select that one, Shift D, and RZ of 90. Once you have both selected, like I talked about last time, once you have both selected, they're gonna have a center origin to actually in between the 2 dots to as a reference point for rotation, and there we rotate by 90 degrees, and that's what we get. We're kind of complete with the rooftop, and I kind of want to add something to top of this awesome beam as well. So let's go into a cube and let's make it, well, first you need to shift it up, right? So this is a 2x2. So just hit, go into edit mode, GZ by 2. GZ by 1. Okay, yep. Because I guess the whole height is 2. I thought the whole height is 4 or something. But oh well. So now we should have it. Now you just need to tweak these a little bit, and it doesn't really matter. Let's make it into like what? These are pretty much 0.1s. Let's make it a 0.2. 4.2, and the length of these are what, 4.4. So let's make it a 4.2, make it slightly smaller than these, and pretty much just copy over these locations. Okay, you can just go into these location coordinates. These should be us because everything's symmetrical, right? So all these coordinates should match. So we don't want to put it at exact location over there, but this will be our starting point for the model by a little bit. Let's make it 3.1 and 3.1, and the z should be 0. So now that should be about right. We want to rotate this around the z-axis by 45 degrees first. And once you do, it'll be kind of lined up. You can rotate this whole rooftop again, but I don't want to do that. I want to show you that this will work too. And this angle is pretty much going to be the same, so it should be 76.8. 76.8. 76.8. Oh, okay, the z should be 315. 315. Okay, now you pretty much have one being on top of each other. Oh, yep, you need to shift it on the z-axis by 0.2. And looks like I want to make it a little bit thinner along the edge over here, but I'm not sure if this is X or Y, so we're gonna test it. Okay, yep. In my case, that's X. In your case, it might be differential. Just change one of the two. It all depends on which corner you chose. So now let's make this one a little bit longer because we want it to actually be about the same. Let's see. Sorry, I'm going to and now that is done. We also need to cut this part, right? Remember, because we want to make this middle part curve and the side part curve. So we actually want to cut them. So now what you want to do is go into element, just repeat what we did over for the bound. Let's just cut it 11 times. And on the edge over here, we're going to cut a little bit more by 3 times. So, right, that is done. And next what we're going to do is just make a copy of this and shift it up by 0.3 maybe. And make it a smaller. So let's do a point. Let's do a 0.1. Should be fine, right? Oh, that's pretty good. About even, I would say. Looks like we need to let it back here a little bit more. Well, we'll just move this one up to like 3 location 3. This part is just gonna eyeball, it doesn't really matter that much. That looks pretty good, but maybe not perfectly. Like the 5, just have the eyeball this part like 5 to where you actually like it, because the math portion of this video is pretty much over. Now we're no longer doing math. Alright, so that is done. But this is drop too much. Let's do it. Okay, so that looks good. And now we're pretty much gonna copy this few parts and rotate it by 90. I mean 180, right? So let's just do RC 90 again to make it 180. So now that's completely shifted. You actually have to go into each individual components to change these. Otherwise, it will not be shifted properly. Maybe do like a JX and JY to get them back to where you want it to go, but that is a little bit too complicated for me anyway. So now these two parts are back. Shift D, RC90, make a copy of them. You can do that. So now these are the parts that we have. And the next part, before we move on, we actually want to color this because once we color each individual component, when we assemble them together, they will retain that color. It'll be a lot easier for us to actually manage these. What you want to do next is kind of highlight these parts and just hit Control J. I'm just trying to reduce the total number of stuff we need to keep track of. And all these as well. Because we don't really need to care about where the dots are at right now, so we don't care about it. you can just do whatever, just combine them. Oh wait, no, this part should not be combined, sorry. This part to be combined because they are going to be painted with the same color. Let's paint them first. Thunder in the middle and make it a lot smaller. So this is depth at 0.5 should be fine. The radius, I'll assume 0.25, so I think it should be working. Alright, that's good. And we can just create something, you know, by just drawing it. Hit E to let it go out, then hit just hit S to enlarge it. I just do 1.1 because these are all ratios. Hit E again to let it protrude outwards. Hit you can hit I or just hit E again to move out a little bit more. Then hit S, so I would enter 0.9. And what you want to do next is hit E again, outward. Hit S to make it smaller once more. Let's do a 0.5, and then hit E again to move up, and hit S again to enlarge it a little bit by 1.1, and hit E once more, and hit S of 0.5, and that should be good. Actually, yeah, that's good enough for me. Because I'm going to create a cylinder in the center. I mean, a sphere in the center. So the sphere has been selected. It's Z of 1, Z of 1, Z of 1. Now let's do it. Make it smaller now. Because right now the radius is way too big. Let's make it bigger than the actual base. Yeah. Let's move the Z axis. Just eyeball it. This part is not that hard. Just eyeball it. Okay, that's good. You can make it like a top that's very fancy if you want to, but in this video I'm not gonna create that kind of top. You can actually create another like floor over here, then make this roof a lot tinier, keep going out smaller and smaller by just making copy of these very much. But that's a lot of work and kind of repetitive. I don't want to waste your time watching this video. So now we're gonna create the bottom support beams, right? So the bottom support beams, let's say the size should be 0.1. That's good. RZ of 45. Because now we're gonna create like this cross roughen at bottom. And just going to item up button, you get out of the edit mode, because right now I actually just linked this cube with the top of the roof. I don't want to do that. So delete it. Make sure you're in the object mode actually. Sorry about that. Now hit create the cube again. Hit RZ of 45. Rotate it to fit this cross reference. And which one we should click? I'm not really sure. Okay. You need to shift it downward a little bit. Oh yeah. Now this point is at 0, 0, right? And this one right here is 0.05, and everything is shifted downward by 0.2, right? So it should be GZ of I would say 0.225, but I think it should be 0.225, but based on the math I just mentioned, it should be 0.25. Okay, negative 0.25, sorry. Should X negative 0.5. So it is. Yep, that's good. Okay, shift it onward a little bit more. Let's make it 0.2 over there. Yep, that's good. Comparing to this, I think I want to make this one even smaller. I don't know, but we'll see in a little bit. So let's do this. Before I make a copy, we need to cut this piece as well, like we mentioned before. Let's go to object mode. Go to edit mode. With the object selected, hit Ctrl R to cut it, or you can use a loop cut over here. And just cut it 11 times, like we did for the top support beam. And we'll cut the edge over here 3 more times. So now we have all these cut. That's good enough. Now we're gonna make a copy of this. Hit Shift D or Z of 90. So everything across. Next, you want to make a center cut right here. You're pretty much gonna mimic whatever we do on the top for these ones over here, but this time you don't have any angle to actually need to worry about. So let's just make a copy of this. Well, actually, you don't want to make a copy of that because that will have a lot of additional cuts that's not necessary for creating sidebars. So let's just call out another cube. And for this cube, let's shift it along the z-axis. It'll be going to the element to make sure like the center dot here is on one of the faces. And I decided to do z of this 0.1.05. Okay, yep, now that's on the bottom. And next what we want to do is pretty much shift this here. That is negative 0.25. Okay, you have to be negative 0.3, I guess. And just move it over here, right? So it should be y of 3. So that's where it is at. And you want this dot to be centered, so let's rotate her along the y-axis. Our y of 90. Okay, I'll rotate another 180. Okay, that's good. And this should be at maximum of 1. In a little bit, I think this is not exactly at the edge. Yeah, that's fine. And what you want to do is cut this before you actually make a copy of it. So go into edit with the object selected and hit Control R to make a single cut. This is center one, it can be single cut, but on the edge over here, you should have a triple cut at least. So next, I'm gonna copy this and rotate them. I kind of want to line up these ones the same. It seems like these should be 0.05, I would say. 0.5. Yeah, that's more like it. So now we changed it by 0.05, so let's just hit GOZ of 0.05. Does it work? Nope, GOZ of 0.05, that was 0.025, yeah, GOZ of 0.025. Okay, these ones are on the side crossbar here. Let's make it a little bit bigger if we're gonna give it a little bit more variant, but technically you want to make it about the same, but that should be fine. Because this time we don't have to cut it, because cutting it is actually a lot of work. And you can just, because there's not that much to actually cut over here, so just make sure it's hidden by this support B right there. That should be fine. And since it's 45 degrees, just reducing it. 4, 3. And this can be 0.2. Now go into edit mode, right? Because I want to cut these components, especially on the edge here, a little bit more than the other ones. Yeah, that should be good enough. And next what we want to do is actually highlight all these cubes. Now you want to actually make a copy of this and rotate it along the x-axis, because this is where you want to rotate against. X of 180. Once you shift 180, right, you shift the sides over as well. Then just hit G of X. I think it's like what, 2.9 before we calculate. Oh wait, now G of Y. 2. Okay, it should be negative. Negative 2.9. Now we pretty much have the top completed. The roof anyway. So now let's select all these parts. And let's join them together into a single component. Make sure you have the center of these selecting 1 to 2, because you want this as a reference point. So hit Ctrl J. Actually, doesn't matter because in the end we're gonna combine all with rooftop together. So right now it doesn't matter because right now I just want to color the red. So now that's pretty much a rooftop. Oh yeah, and this one. So sorry for the cut. I have to cut this video because I'm having an issue with building the actual building with the building add-on. So let's use a default because I figured out like the size actually works. So now I'm gonna show you how it works. Select everything, add floors. So I figured that the slab size of 0.5 will allow me to build a balcony from this point here to this point here. I tried 1, which means I need to build a balcony with an X offset, well, not offset, actually X size of 6, but it will not allow me to build past 5. I don't know why. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So this time it does not work, but I want to build a balcony of X size of 6 with this dimension here. I mean with a dimension of like slab size of like protruding out 1, right? So it'd be 6 by 6 on each side, but now it's just 5 by 5. It works. That's just how it is. This add-on is a bit buggy, so you might run into other bugs that I have not encountered. The best thing you can do is just to pretty much recreate the whole thing, which doesn't take much time with this add-on anyway. So use with caution, always safe when you start using this add-on. Thank you. Please, let's continue. Hey, we didn't break it. That's good. Now that's 0.5. So now we have everything. I want to make it 1 to make the like vertices everywhere a lot easier instead of having like 2.5 by 2.5. You have 3 by 3. It's a lot easier putting support beams and stuff. So next, so the object mode, just create something. Wait, not this. Cylinder. Where to go? And just hit. Let's move it here. That's 0.5, right? So it can be going to element. GZ of 0.25, and now let's move this position to 2.5 and 2.5. No, wait, what? Oh, we're still, sorry, we're still in edit mode. I was wondering why that would work. 5, and this is shifted up by 0.2, right? You want to make it a little simpler. So I guess it's pretty hard to put this support beam here, but you really needed it. So let's shift it down a little bit to 0. It's just cutting into the bottom slab. That's a bad thing about it, but it's fine. It's fine. So you can raise it. If this is a height of 3.2, so just hit 3.2. Actually don't need 3.2 because we're gonna put the roof light on the bottom of these balconies, so it actually not be that much. Yeah, so now let's take care of the rooftop. Actually, I totally forgot about the rooftop, but this rooftop now we're going to go back to the parts because I forgot to subdivide a very important object. So let's see. So this is the actual roof portion of it, right? You want to subdivide this, otherwise when you try to curve it, it will not work. Let's select everything, subdivide a few times. Okay, that should be good. That's a lot of subdivide. All depends on how many you want and how much detail you want to actually inject into the whole thing. Now select everything again, it should be, and fill up a little bit. And with this one highlighted, hit Ctrl J to combine it. That a bit and highlight parts. Yeah, about it. Good. You see my basics. And now what you want to do is go into this component. I don't know why brackets like too complicated, but you want to turn on the X right now. Then you go into your element and select the center dot right there. Alright, then hit GZ. Oh, make sure you actually turn on the proportional editor and turn it to sharp. Hit GZ. So this circle is the area effect. Will raise everything around it, along with the center. That looks good. Just eyeball it, like how much you want. And the next, what you want to do is raise the center part as well. So this, well, you can turn on the X-ray now, so you don't want to actually make it confusing for yourself. Move to the other side view to see how much you have to raise. That's good enough. Next, what you want to do is select all these cylinders on the side, get Control to select it. Then once you select the first one, get Control Shift. So you will add whatever you selected. Oh well, that failed. So the circle there, you click, you actually did not select the circle, but select it along this axis right here. So you don't want to do that, you just want to select the circle. Let's see. If you kind of selected a length, like along this 14, just reselect it. Now hit JZ with everything selected, do that. Now you can start raising them. Oh, let's probably find good angle to watch it. Alright, that's good. That looks really nice. That's why you want to subdivide like these lines effectually and also like a rooftop, because then you're gonna get really nice like curve. Otherwise, like these beams might actually protrude upward to there. You don't want that. Now let's go to object mode and hit. Well, now we can't be that high anymore because then we can't hide it at all. We should shift it down a little bit, maybe just eyeball it. Yeah, that looks good. Now hit Shift V and kind of move it down. But also eyeball it. A little bit more stuff in your eyeball, especially these parts here. That should be good. And just hit Shift V again. Now just hit JOZ by make it 3.2. So that's all on to height. That's good. Next thing you want to do is just cut out the middle part. So let's create a cube. That's 4x4. Okay. And then get out of it, object mode, and hit SZ to actually enlarge it along the Z axis. And the next thing you want to do is just use the Boolean to cut out the middle part. Boolean. Cut that part. And this one, the Boolean bottom. Apply. Alright, now I'll delete that. As you can see, we should probably shrink this a little bit, so otherwise it's touching the top part. You know what? That's actually exactly what you want. So let's go into 9.6. That looks pretty good. And if you didn't want a 9.6, so you just pretty much involve it right here. There's not much math involved here. Just eyeball it so you get what you want and what you like. That's good. And now let's color this. Nothing has color right there, right? So go into let's color it red. I like to color all these support names red. It should be and just hit start. Distributing around. So now you have all these sides. That's good. But you want to hide the rooftop now, because now we need to actually create windows and doors on top. But I like to use windows because you can make those like Chinese paper windows and kind of use them as doors as well, because no one can be able to tell if it's a very low poly low poly tower. There's not much details in it, right? So just select this building here and go into element and go to building tools and select these points here. And just hit now window. And let's make it, well, size of 1 is good, but this one, let's make it 0.5. Maybe we just make it 3. To make it simpler, right? So let's make it 3 actually. Now what you want to do next is increase the count of it. Yeah, that should be good. So in this case, once we finish the center part, these two will be simulating like a door, but this side here will just be windows. And what you want to do here is actually the frame depth. So the window depth, right, meaning the actual center part of that window is actually caved into this plane by 0.5. So now we want to move these the sidebar here up by negative 0.05. Once you do that, you can see now they protrude it outward, which means the window right here is going to be in line with the actual building. So now I just do it for the other two sides. Because the top part, right, you can't select all 4 sides like we talked about before. You will actually select the top part and it will not work. And once you add that, hit add window. Oh shoot, forgot something important actually. Forget the most important part. Add window, then go into fill type, choose glass panels. And now you can pretty much play around with these. That looks good. Now select the 2 other sides. And hit window. By the way, you might want to save because right now it's very easy for it to crash. Again. Ooh, I thought it crashed for a second. Guess not. So now let's get out of this and hit save first. I don't want to lose it once more because I rebuilt it like 3 freaking times. Re-recorded it anyway because each time kind of crashed in the middle. Now we can bring back the roof. Alright. So now let's give it a little bit of color actually to make it a lot simpler. So we're gonna do the red, legs, and about itself. Should color pink, should we? Now that's not like natural wood color. So let's make a new one and leave that. Oh, I can't remove that. Okay. Let me remove this actually. That's stay right here. Whatever. Let's make a new one. Add that color to begin. And let's select that material 1. Yeah, let's get the 1 material. Alright, and on the window, right, walls are all covered by these, so we don't have to color the walls. But the slabs we do need to cover blur, so let's make think of it as rooftop. You know what? That'll be bad actually. That is that's the thing, so make it wood. So now that is done. What you need to do next is actually color the window. The window itself will be white because these are paper windows, which try to simulate. But the actual frames, which you can select it. So these are the frames. That's what be red. And let's make it red as well. And now let's give it a little bit more color actually. Let's make it pink. Okay, that looks good. This color differential makes stuff look better. And next thing we want to do is add some kind of poster like that on these 2 lines over here. So we just hit shift. Well, you can just copy it over actually. We don't have to do anything other than changing its size and its location. So let's pick D and go back. Ivan, yeah, all the height should be fine, so fine. Oh no, 0.2. 5 actually. Like that. 5. And move it to -2, -2. Yeah, I guess we should create one like on these four corners as well. First, I forgot about that. 2. Okay, now we can create one that is, well, let's see, this is white, it's gonna be -1. We're gonna use a different color. Let's use the same color as the balcony. Kind of make it stand out a little bit. That should be bottom. It's good. This one here should be, well, it should be. Oh yeah. Copy the bottom. I don't think that copy. Screw it. Let's just use like shift. So copy these two, hit J of X. Now it should be a 4, but I'm not sure -4 or +4. So I think it's right over here. Now select all 4 parts. So these are all 2x2s, right? So the center now is 0, 0. So hit RZ of 90. Oh wait, you should hit Shift D first, then RZ of 90 to make a copy of that. As you can see, guys, now we have the tower mostly done. As you can see, this is not large enough. No, it should be good. You can make this like rooftop really big if you want to, but you know what? Yeah, that will actually make it look a lot better. Hit S and make it 1.1. Like what the heck? Select the rooftop. Hit S of 1.1. You can do that on the bottom as well, but I don't think it's necessary. Alright guys, we have the tower mostly completed. Just need to add like something like these a little bit, but much smaller. And get G of X, G of Y by 1. Y by 0.5, 0.25. Okay, that's good. Make it a lot smaller than this. Let's do a 0.1. That's not exactly the right location. Y maybe 0.1? No. Should Y to make it 0.01? Should Y make it 0.01? Just keep shift down here, it looks good. So it's GY of -0.05. So okay, that's good. That is good enough for me. But yeah, it will not start at like the bottom. It should start at somewhere in there. So the full height cannot exceed, let's say, 3 inches. And now we'll be shifting on the Z-axis, maybe 3.2. Yeah, that's about right. So now make this actually shorter, 2.8. Devices. 0.4. Okay, just eyeball it. That's good. But there is actually an issue with all these things. It's not actually touching this, so I need to make this even bigger. So this will be S of 1.1 once more. This will be S of 1, S of 1. Okay, that's good. It's not actually showing up. S of 1.1, S of 1.1. The reason why I keep doing size of 1.1 because it's actually increasing baseline's defined size. So once I hit 1.1, right? Initially it was a 1, now it's a 1.1. Then I hit 1.1 again, it's actually 1.1 times of the 1.1. So it's actually 1.1 squared. It's not going to be equal to 1.2, so it's different. Let's keep it the same size. So that is done. Wait, where's my beams? Okay, it's right here. So next you select this, hit Shift D. Make a copy and shift it on the x-axis, so GX of I'm not sure which side. Okay, yep, that is positive, just 2. Then hit Shift D and G of Y. This will be a 6, but I'm not sure it's a -6 or +6. Okay, G of Y -6. So rotate it over. Wait, it's not exactly -6, huh? So I was wrong. Wow. What is this location? Okay, it'll be this number times 2, right? So it'll be G of Y of negative 6 point something 45, right? So 4 is 9. Actually, it'll be 6.9. Yep. Yep, that's exactly what we want it to be. Then select everything, hit Shift D and RZ of 90. Just rotate around it. And next, select all these parts here. Hit Shift D again, then just hit G of Z to shift it up 3.2. Okay, it's a lot higher here, so we need to make it a lot longer. Let's make it a 3. How about that? Yeah, 3 works. So I just change it all of it to 3. So now we have all these things created with something in the center here. So I'm gonna import an image. It's a plane, which it's an image that I pretty much it's a poetry that I wrote myself in Chinese. So I converted it into like a very ancient Chinese. So like I cannot read this. This is not simplified or traditional. Doesn't matter where you are, you can't read this, man. So now we want to make it against what is this? This is okay. This is 3.5, 3.5, and this is -1, -1. Oops, should be 0. Sorry, that's very dumb. Then just shift that up, and I'm gonna do a S of x-axis. Nope, S of y-axis maybe. Yep. I kind of wanted to touch the 2 sides. Yeah. So now you can do a copy of this and just rotate it by 180, and shift to the other side. Negative. And select the 2. Shift P RZ of 90. And now select all 4. Shift D of GZ of -3.2. Voila. Just something like this. So this is different than the other 2 towers that I created. But that's how you create towers, guys. I mean, there are some parts, maybe creating like lanterns over here, but lanterns are pretty easy to make, so I'm not gonna show in this video. It's gonna be too long already, so. Well, take care, guys. Hopefully you liked it.